Running a business is hard, and integrating robust systems and processes is a must to make sure that you've got an efficient business. Here are my favourite top apps and software to run my property business in 2022. Firstly is Notion, which is an incredible piece of CRM note-taking software. It does absolutely everything. You can create databases, you can link databases together, you can create formulas just like an Excel spreadsheet, you can have a note-taking page, and I use it for every part of my business. Whether it's just simply tracking goals throughout the year and understanding what are my objectives for each quarter, whether I want to build a database with information for tenants. I even built my own property deal analyzer, which I'll have as a template down on my website, and I'll leave a link in the description. This helps me analyze on a Kanban board all of the property deals as I look on the market, help compare them visually and see all of the key stats in a really super simple, easy format. I also built a really cool tenant portal, so the tenants in the property can go onto their public Notion page, they can look at the emergency phone numbers, all the processes, raise maintenance requests, and all of that is fully automated using Zapier. I also use it as a CRM to store information like tradesman details. If I'm down at Screwfix and I see a van that looks moderately clean, I'll take a photo of that, put it on my to-do list, and then I'll put it onto my Notion database. So I have a CRM full of tradespeople ready to go that I can call and tender out projects and contracts to. And the thing I love most about Notion is that it massively cuts down on any of the CRM costs, which can be really, really expensive. You can do all of that completely for free on Notion. Secondly is OpenRent. Now I use this to advertise on Zoopla and Rightmove. They are the two biggest property platforms in the UK and can bring in hundreds, if not thousands of views to your property, regardless whether you're selling or whether you're letting it out to rent. The best bit is that you can put your property onto the portals through OpenRent completely free. You can pay for upgrades if you want to, and you can also pay for things like tenant referencing, EPCs for the property efficiency, as well as electrical certificates, gas safety certificates, inventory reports, and loads more. This is really great because if you want to manage your own properties, it's really easy to get all of your properties that you've got in front of people on Rightmove and Zoopla, which would otherwise cost a lot of money by doing this through an estate agent, which often charge hefty fees. When I put my property to rent earlier this year, I had over 75 inquiries. The best thing about OpenRent is that every single message was automatically responded to, directing people to then fill in a form next. So that initial inquiry can be dealt with fully automated, and I don't need to go into every single message that's sent into the system. And this process is also great because you can weed out people straight away who can't even be bothered to fill out a form in the first place, which is a really good way to start vetting and referencing tenants from the moment they contact you. Next is data collection using Jotform. This is an awesome form builder tool which has an amazing backend where you can look at all of the data, you can synthesize it, and you can start to filter all of the table information. Now, the way I use Jotform is that once a tenant comes in, they've signed up through OpenRent, they've sent in a message, they then get an automatic message back saying, hey, please fill out this form here. It collects their name, date of birth, information, job, salary, income, whether they've got any CCJs, anything that they need to declare. All of that gets put onto a Jotform straight away and is all fully automated and collected in the back end. The great thing is that you can customize all of the forms so they can match your personal branding, the branding of your own company, and you collect all this information in. It looks really professional, works on any device from mobile, tablets, desktop. And then once you have all that information, the back end is really powerful where you can filter based on certain criteria. It's like a super version of using Microsoft Excel. Next up is communication, and I use the free version of HubSpot, which is a CRM system. You can use this for managing sales and leads, but I use it primarily for sending out automated email to tenants and prospective buyers, and whatever it is, I can send out really nice branded emails to them. It's got, I think, one of the strongest builders, and I have a custom built email template that I can then quickly type something onto it, send it out to anyone relevant on the list, and they'll get a really nice professionally branded email that looks really, really slick, and again works on any device and is mobile responsive. So all I do is take the data from Jotform, put it into the CRM, and then I can send out emails to people saying, hey, you've been invited to a viewing, click here to book on your link, and start booking in that viewing for the property. Next up is Calendly, which is an awesome piece of software that looks after your calendar, where you can send links to people where they can automatically book in viewings or meetings, whatever it is. They can book it in based on your calendar, and it syncs to whatever you have. So whether you use Outlook or Gmail, you sync it to your calendar account. It detects what's free and what's busy, but you can also set things like operating hours. So if you wanted to only allow meetings within 9 to 5, or like me, I did a block 2 days worth of viewings. So I only enabled Calendly for 2 days in the evenings when I could then finish work, go to the house and get all of the tenants all together in 2 big block viewings. This is really good for many reasons, but mainly because it's fully automated. So rather than having to phone people up or email them and saying, hey, can you make this time? No, can you make this time? And trying to sync through email. Instead, all they have to do is click on the link. They can view all of the slots that are available. Once they book it in, they pop in their name and their email address. It sends them all the information, the location, and it also attaches 2 links on the calendar invite to reschedule or cancel, which again is really, really good. It means that they can self-serve anything to do with the calendar invite itself, and therefore you don't have to be keeping your eyes on your inbox to respond to emails saying, hey, I'm going to be late, or I can't make this, I can't make that. The best bit that I love about Calendly is that it sends awesome reminders. So you can set up a series of reminders to go out to the tenants. For example, they might get an email 48 hours before, and then on the morning of the viewing, they might get another email. You can also then send text messages. So I have Calendly automatically send them a text message 60 minutes before the viewing is due to start. That means that they can either pop onto their phone and quickly cancel it, or they can leave it in and they have a reminder just in case they forgot. And that's the key with Calendly that I absolutely love. And the whole theme of this is that it's fully automated and works seamlessly without me having to get involved. All I have to do is look at my calendar, it syncs it up. When somebody books in a slot, it blocks that out for everyone else, and then there are only so many other slots available. But if somebody moves it, that one becomes available again. So it's great to schedule in lots of different events. One of my favorites, which is Zapier, and this is all around automation. Zapier is an incredible piece of software that can link 2 different apps or software together. For example, when I have tenants who fill in a maintenance request form, which is on Jotform, that then goes through Zapier and is automatically uploaded onto Notion and is put into a database. So if there are 5 questions, for example, what's the address of the property? What's the issue? What do you think caused it? Can you attach a photo? All of those fields are then mapped into Notion. So it fires off to Zapier. Zapier then fires it back off to Notion and stores it in a database where I then get a card on a Kanban board. So if I had a bigger portfolio of properties, this is a really nice way to manage lots of different maintenance requests because they all come into a triage column. I can see all of them, I can then link them to the property and start to move it across the board to mark when things are in progress and when they're done, and I can then allocate that to the tradesman list that I have in Notion as well. Zapier can help automate loads of different random apps, whether you want to automate a Google Sheet to Notion or a random piece of software. Have a look on the website, you can see tons and tons of apps that you can automate systems and processes. So if you have any manual tasks in your business, think about how you could automate them using this software. Next up is rent collection using GOCARDLESS. Now there's a huge debate, do you use standing orders or do you use direct debits? I decided to go for the direct debit option because it takes the onus and the decisioning away from the tenant, and they can just set up the direct debit once and then you can manage the rent every single month. Again, this is fully automated. My rent is triggered on the 28th every single month. It will earmark it in the bank account of the tenant after they've set up the direct debit, and then every month it just automatically comes through. If the payment fails because there is not enough balance in the account or whatever it is, it will then automatically start to retry it. So you're not relying on tenants having to remember to set up standing orders, or even worse, just pay manually every single month. And it's a really good way to minimize any risk of tenants not paying because they can just set it up and forget it, and it just becomes part of their monthly cash flow. What also helps is that if you need to change rents in the future and move them up, then you can quickly do that, put them onto a brand new plan within GOCARDLESS, and the next month on the same direct debit mandate, it will then start charging them the new amount. And the best bit of this, being a fan of automation, all of that automatically syncs up to Xero, which is my accounting software, which then triggers the income every single month and is all fully recorded and automated. So at the end of the year, it makes the accounts a little bit more easier to manage. Speaking of Xero, that's the next bit of software. This is the accountancy software that I use for my small business. It can sync up to my bank account, so it pulls in all the transactions that I spend on my card and that goes through the bank, and then I can reconcile everything. I can add all of the GOCARDLESS transactions in for the rent, for income into the business, and all of this produces really, really nice reports, gives me a profit and loss statement. I can also then do my end of year accounts fully through this software. Next up is legal, and I use Juro, which is a really cool piece of tech, and it's very, very similar to other bits of software like DocuSign and Adobe Sign. It's where you can import a document or you can write one from scratch, and then you can add where the signatures go, add the signatories themselves, their email addresses. That will then ping off an automatic email through Juro to their personal email address. They can quickly click on the link, start to read through the documents, digitally sign it, and it has an audit of their IP address, what device they've been using, when they viewed it, and then most importantly when they've signed it as well. So there's a digital unique audit attached to every single piece of contract or paperwork. The Juro is fantastic for legal documentation or where you need something signing and reviewing by a tenant, a client, or a customer. It's super clean, super easy to use, and I really like the layout and UI of it. Next up is building a website. Now you could pay an extortionate monthly fee and use one of the big popular website builders, but I have always used WordPress. It's one of the most, if not the most popular website platform in the entire world. It has hundreds of thousands of plugins, and whatever solution you need to solve on your website through payment processing or through e-commerce or through security or SEO, whatever it is, there's a way to do that using WordPress plugins. I also pair this up with an app called Elementor, and Elementor and WordPress go really good together. Elementor makes it into a what you see is what you get type editor. So if you're used to using Wix and Squarespace but don't want to pay the expensive monthly fees, you can use a free version of Elementor or even upgrade for a really cheap price for under £100 a year. This allows you to have a really powerful, slick editor. All of my websites that I've got, so WTF Property Investing, brighton.co.uk, all of that is fully done using Elementor and WordPress. I highly recommend it. It's super easy to create custom designs and build a website exactly the way that you want to build it. So if you have a really creative mind and you know how you want to lay out a website, or if you want to copy a competitor, then Elementor and WordPress makes it really easy to do this. And last but not least is circleloop. This is an interesting piece of tech that I've been using more recently, and it gives me a local phone number. Now you can have phone numbers anywhere in the world. I've chosen an 03 number, which is generic for the UK. It's free to call. And what happens is that when everyone calls the number, it will either go through to my laptop or it'll go through to my phone. The best bit about circleloop is that it's only about £5 a month, and you can also add things like an IVR system. An IVR is essentially when you ring up and it says, "Hello, welcome to my company. Press 1 to go through here, press 2 to go through there." Now, I don't need the automated press 1 to go here, 2 to go there, but when anyone calls the number, it will give a quick, nice, themed introduction, fully branded, before then saying, "We're now putting you through to the office." It's really professional. It can make you sound 10 times more professional and bigger than what your company actually is. So I highly recommend using software like circleloop to have your own amazing phone system that people can call. It records all of the calls as well, so that you can go back and listen to them. You can look at all the trends, and if you do start to have and build a team, you can start to direct different departments. So if you do expand your business, you can then start to have option 1 for finance, option 2 for sales, whatever it is. You can start to route people through, and it will call teams of people that you allocate on the admin bit of the software. Really cool. I absolutely love it. You can also set out of hours as well. So if it gets beyond 5 PM or you don't want to get calls on a weekend, what it can do is automatically route people straight through to voicemail, which again, you can fully brand. You can add music in the background to make it sound really slick and really professional. And there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, then definitely check out this one here, which goes into all of the deep dive figures on my very first buy-to-let, where I made a profit of over £40,000 before tax. Check it out here, have a look at the numbers, and I will see you in the next video.